case of, I have to use the term groupies because they're groupies whether they're young kids or whether they're older women. They're still groupies that follow Elvis Presley and Tom Jones around.
There are?
And yeah, and they don't like to have that everywhere they go. They have no private life, so no one.
How much of the year is he on the road?
Elvis hasn't done a concert tour. He did one concert about 2 years ago, and this one this year, and prior to that he was not out on concert tour for 8 or 10 years.
For those of you who tuned in late, this is Mr. Jerry Nathan, and Mr. Jerry Nathan is in charge of Buffalo Festival, and Buffalo Festival brings in nationally known and loved people to the, well, not only to Buffalo, but to Syracuse.
Well, we operate state and into Pennsylvania. We do a few shows in Pittsburgh, some colleges in various parts of the country. We've done a couple of shows in Toronto.
What?
Bringing in Chuck Mangione into Buffalo and to Toronto October 12th and 13th. That's with a full orchestra, chorus. Perhaps you're not familiar with Chuck Mangione. He's a very famous.
Sure, right. Jerry Nathan, what can people do living in small or states with less population and less cities, less population in the city to bring in nationally loved people?
Well, if there is a facility, an auditorium, large enough to support the cost of an act, of a well-known act, today these acts will cities all over the country. The size of the auditorium is the main factor in determining whether a major artist will play an area. The exceptions are the Elvis Presleys and the Tom Jones and people like that who, Rolling Stones in the rock field, for example, who will only play auditoriums that have a very large capacity.
Like
in
what?
Metropolitan markets. 12, 16,000 capacities, or stadiums, or convention halls with 15,000, 20,000 capacities.
So they can take out 150,000?
Well, the main thing is that they don't wish to be on the road every day for 6 months or anything, so they confine it to the large metropolitan. But in the echelon below these superstars, many of these acts will play as long as the auditorium is large enough to justify their fee. And it doesn't matter much if you're in a large city with a large population area to draw on. You have heavy many concerts. If you're in a small city with a lesser population, there are concerts. Therefore, when there are concerts, they're more appreciated, they're better attended, and they draw from a large circumference.
And speaking of superstars, you brought in the superstar, didn't you?
We did 27 performances of the rock opera Jesus Christ Superstar. A great many of them in Buffalo. Played a week at Kleinhans Music Hall recently. Played Rochester, Syracuse, Utica, Hershey, Pennsylvania, all over the time.
Jerry, did you get to see Elvis at all?
From afar, just as anybody else would. My need to visit with the celebrities left me a few years ago. When I first was in the business, I was had just as much stardust in my eyes as anybody else. But after 2 or 3 years, it became very evident to me that the performers are just like any other group of people. There are some that you would like to meet and speak to and associate with and know better. There are some the last people that you would want to meet and associate with. And my opinion is that these performers are bugged to death with people who want to meet them, so that I actually lean over backwards to avoid inflicting myself on them when they're in our concert.
And Jerry Nathan, now what is in the future? What do you have planned?
Well, as you perhaps know, we do a great many rock concerts. We have 10 or 12 booked for the coming October and November. We have Elton playing next week in Buffalo, Rochester. We played Elton John last night at Cornell University. playing a rock group, English rock group called 10 Years After. Um, we're doing the Guess Who, a very well-known Canadian group. I'm hard put to think of the names of them, but we're doing a great many of them.
And I was wondering if you just pursue a little further about the people who are in smaller cities. What agencies would they get in touch with, and how would they get in touch with them?
Well, it's very difficult for someone who's not been in the business to be able to crack into the business in any way. There are a great many people, great many young people coming out of colleges who see only one side of this concert promotional thing. They believe that everybody that gets into concert promotion is rolling in success. They don't know anything about the losses and the problems of the business. So that there are so many people knocking at the doors of the agencies trying to book concerts that the agencies don't even have the time to pursue all these people. It is a seller's market today as far as the talent is concerned. The acts that are strong in their draw of people are able to dictate many, many unusual requirements. One rock act we had last week, we had to furnish 8 limousines for their usage.
Where did you get them, Jerry?
They're available.
Volkswagens won't do?
We've had to get most unusual things. We have specific brands of wine that we have to get. Tea with lemon, food, spreads of food, and soft drinks and beer. I don't know what a year from now we might become into an area that we really don't belong in and be asked to furnish female companionship. As yet, we don't have that problem.
And Jerry, you can't think offhand of any more people who are coming?
I think I've fairly well covered the ones in the media. We have plans for many different acts coming in the spring. Judy Collins. I did forget Gordon Lightfoot, who will be in Buffalo at Kleinhand's Music Hall October 8th. I regret that I can't think of everybody that's on our program.
How did you get started in the business, Jerry Nathan?
Well, I I was plunged right into the business without any background in it at all. I had been in the plastics business, manufacturing plastics. I was interested in jazz music all my life. And around 1960, I spoke to a disc jockey in Buffalo who had been presenting jazz concerts at Kleinhand's Music Hall. Joe Rico, his name was. And just casually mentioned to him that if he was interested in having somebody participate with him, help him invest in whatever, that I was interested in this. And a week or 10 days later, he called me to tell me that George Wein, the producer of the Newport Jazz Festival,
Oh, sure.
Al Grossman, who has since become the manager of Peter, Paul and Mary, Gordon Lightfoot, the late Janis Joplin, and many other people. And another gentleman from Detroit were interested in putting on a jazz festival, outdoor jazz festival in Buffalo. And that was the farthest thing from my mind. I had in mind a very simple, what I consider now a simple concert at Kleinhand's Music Hall. This was a major project that took 6 straight weeks of my time. And that's how I got into the business.
Oh, I see, yeah, right. Now, I see you have uncovered some of the lists.
I was trying to see, to be reminded of some of the people that we...
Joe Cocker was here.
Yes, we brought in Joe Cocker.
Gladys Knight,
Liddell's. We have coming the Hollies, Guess Who, Procol Harum, a very fine English group, Donny Hathaway. These are what are scheduled for the next month or two.
Well, Jerry, you were so nice to come and visit with us. Was there anything further that you wanted to tell the folks at home?
No, I'd like to thank the opportunity of expressing myself.
And you did it very well, Jerry.
Well, thank you very much.
Who are some of the most interesting people you have met of the nationally loved?
Well, I'd have to go back a few years uh, to think of some of the people that did impress me. This is maybe not going to come across the way I, but
Nothing ever does.
I'm not all that impressed with the general run of performer. Uh, this as a generality. There are many exceptions. There are many of the performers today who are very concerned about the problems of the promoter, problems putting on a concert, and there seem to be a great many of them who have a complete disregard for anything except their own viewpoint of what should be done. So I've become a little disenchanted with a great many of the running performers who have no concern, no consideration for the audience or the promoter.
Yeah.
There are some fine people in the business. Comes to mind from years ago, the great blues singer Joe Williams, who you may recall. She was with the Count Basie band for many years.
Yes.
Joe Williams is a performer who would never miss a date. I remember one concert we had where there was a bad snowstorm in New York, and we had 3 performers on the show. Dave Brubeck,
Oh, sure.
Aretha Franklin, who at that time was a jazz singer, and Joe Williams. And Dave Brubeck was coming in from Cleveland, and he didn't have the snow problem, so he was there. Aretha Franklin called from Washington, stranded, unable to get to the date, and Joe Williams spent the entire day, from 9 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night, going back and forth from airport to airport, LaGuardia, Kennedy, Newark, standing by and waiting, hoping that each plane would go off, and finally got to our date at around 9:30.
There you are. There's a real...
Because he had a commitment and he was going to keep it.
Sure, because a lot of people would have been disappointed.
Peter, Paul, and Mary were very decent to work with, had some concern about the public, held their ticket prices down, their costs down.
Yeah, those are good things you brought out. Yeah. Any amusing stories, any amusing incidents ever befell you? You can think offhand, of course.
Well, I would say amusing is the wrong word. Catastrophic
No, yeah.
with every concert. we have, I don't believe there have been more than a handful of concerts that I've done that have proceeded from start to finish without any unexpected incident.
You mentioned Count Basie. Count Basie is coming very soon. He's been here once. He was here about last month, I think. He's coming again. He said an interesting thing, folks. I asked him, you know, when you were a little boy, Count Basie, what people did you admire as adults? And he thought a long time, and he says, I've been an adult all my life. So then again, this was Jerry Nathan of Buffalo Festival, and Jerry is a great person for bringing nationally loved people to the smaller cities so that their fans can enjoy them live, so to speak. Jerry, thanks a lot for being with us.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Night, everybody. Be as good as you can to everyone. Tell me when you're ready. Excuse me, feedback. You ready? Hi there, everybody. How are you on a nice day today? We have with us Mrs. Ralph Arnold Folsom. And your maiden name was?
Leathers. Edna Leathers.
And you were born where?
Oh, I was born in Levant,
Levant, Maine.
town not far from here.
Not far from here, and this being Bangor.
Yes, meaning Bangor.
It's out around Carmel, isn't it? Right?
Well, no, it's nearer than that, nearer to Bangor than Carmel.
Oh, I see. Now, Mrs. Folsom, you had a very interesting little poem about a lady in her petticoats. Could you...
That one?
Yes. Could you recite that for the cable viewing audience?
When do I start saying nursery rhymes?
Oh, do you know some of those? Well, it might
No,
be some
that's
little
a
children.
nursery rhyme.
It is?
Oh, yes. There was an old woman, so I've heard tell, She went to the market, her eggs for to sell. She went to the market, all on a market day, and she fell asleep on the king's highway. Along came a peddler named Stout, and he cut her petticoats all about. He cut her petticoats up to her knees, which caused this old woman to shiver and sneeze. When this little old woman at last did wake, she began to shiver, she began to shake, she began to wonder, and she began to cry. Lack of mercy on us, this is none of I. But if it do be I, which I do hope it be, I've a little dog at home, and he'll know me. If it do be I, he'll wag his little tail. If it be not I, he'll loudly bark and wail. So home went the little old woman all in the dark. Up jumped the little dog, and he began to bark. He began to bark, and she began to cry. Lack of mercy on us, this is none of I.
Where did you learn that?
Well, I think I must have learned that when I was a child. I
In
don't-
Levant?
No.
Where?
Oh, probably around Bangor area somewhere.
Did you take elocution?
Yes.
Elocution was quite a thing to do, wasn't it, at one time?
Well, I thought it was. I liked it.
But do do they do that though now so much?
I don't know.
I
that
don't
they
hear
do.
of it.
No, I don't
Right.
know that they do. Of course, they have speaking courses.
I suppose it's sort of the speech courses are an outgrowth of that, right?
Yeah.
Do they have any courses to help people shut up? Or just to speak more? Is that all they have?
Well, I think that would be a good thing, but I'm not sure whether they do or not.
Folks, we'll be right back with you with some more interesting guests right after this announcement. All around 4th year as a teacher, right?
Right.
And some of these ladies have been with you for 3 years, is
For
that?
3 sessions, yes.
Terry, isn't there something about you have cake decorating 1, cake decorating 2?
Yes, we do. We have 3 sessions. We call them Cake 1, 2, and 3.
Cake 1, 2, and 3. And looks like all these girls are so accomplished, they must be at cake 3.
Yes, I believe the first 3, Celia and Peggy and Pat, have taken the first 3 sessions.
Well, now let's take a look here at Celia Case. And folks, she's doing a cake, and could you hold it up for Nancy Crosby to get a close-up? Yeah, well, I meant like at an angle, hon. Yeah, that's good.
Now
Yeah.
this is piping gel. It's green and blue to simulate water.
Oh, sure.
And we have swans that we made in class. This is with gum paste and royal icing.
Right. Oh, gum paste and royal icing.
Right. And you place the swans. I
Oh,
think one is the
isn't
male, one is the
that
female,
fun.
because this male here is looking at the female, and she is sort of looking down.
Well, females sort of look up.
Oh,
But
they do?
yeah, it must be the male. He's done something wrong.
That could very well be.
So this is Celia Case, folks. Now she's put swans in the water, and now what do you plan to do, Celia?
Well, I'll have some leaves and greenery and some flowers in the corners.
And
And dress it up a bit.
this is a regular. Is it like a pound cake, hon?
Yes, it could be in almost any type of cake, any box mix if you don't feel like baking from scratch, really. Right. We use box mix.
Can you put it right down on the? Hold it right there. There. Yeah, right at an angle. So good. So you see it.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, fine. Thank you, Celia Case. Now, and this, what do you call this around here, Terry?
This looks like to me like a reverse shell. Simulated
making it
reverse
one
shell.
way.
It's not really
Yeah.
reverse. It's sort of a squirrel type shell.
Do you do everything in reverse, or do you do?
No, not everything.
And so you're using this. What do you call
That's
these?
a star tip.
That's a star tip,
Right.
and you're using it in reverse, sort of.
Well, you can't see from here.
I think you could. In the water. We'll come to Celia and see what else she does for us. And now, let's you and I go over and we'll talk to. Yeah, we'll
Peggy's up there.
Peggy Bugatti. Hi, Peggy. Hi. Come on, tell her. What are you doing over there?
Put more frosting in the bag.
Peg, I was wondering if we can see you. Yeah, right.
This way, I forgot. Don't look
Yeah.
down, look up, right?
Right. Yeah, just a second, Peg. So, and now, folks, we're going to go over and talk to Peggy Bugatti. Hi, Peggy.
Hi, Glendora.
How are you?
Fine, how are you doing?
Take a nice look at her, because besides good-looking cake, she's a good-looking girl, right?
Fine.
Peggy, show us some of your work here.
Oh, it's, could be used as a Mother's Day cake.
A Mother's Day
Happy
cake?
birthday,
Right.
you know, anything like that. I mean, it's not done yet, though. I mean, don't take it away, it looks right now, but,
Oh, it's lovely, though. Now, when she
It's a
came
very
in,
nice
folks, about 5 minutes ago, she hadn't done any of this, and I think this took you 5 minutes.
oh, no, it shouldn't even take me that long.
shouldn't, really?
No.
Peg, you're good.
Nice of you to say.
And she made a doll cake for us, folks, and it was just terrific. Tell us about the doll cake, how she had a lovely skirt, big hoop skirt, you know. And
It was, pink stars. And in
Yeah.
the front it was the, ruffles.
Yeah, right.
And,
She had
It was an
long
ordinary
hair and a
doll
bang.
cake.
Yeah, right. It was delicious.
yes, I make good cakes.
You sure do.
Oh, and, this is a good cake too.
I bet it is. Is that the
Right.
same type
But
of
you're
cake?
not gonna get it this time.
No, I'm not going to get. Oh.
Yes, somewhere.
See.
Same thing. I mean, you could use a box cake like Seal said, but it's all add your own ingredients.
Is it really?
I think
You
so.
really
I
think
mean, your
so?
cakes
Yeah.
come up higher.
You enjoy being a good cook along with everything else,
Oh,
don't
definitely.
you? Yeah, right.
definitely.
Peggy Bugatti, and Peg will be back to see you.
Thank you.
We're getting a little instruction here from the chief. She doesn't know it. Now we'll go over and we'll talk to Pat Bova. And Pat, could you hold your cake up at an angle? You don't have to hold it off it. That's good. And that's what, Pat Bova?
This could be a shower cake,
Oh, yeah.
spring birthday,
Oh, yes.
even a Mother's Day in the spring. You know, it's in the springtime. Yeah.
And is
It's a
it a
variety.
layer cake or is it?
There's 2 layers. It's
There
cut
are?
out of a 9x13, and what you cut out, you put in the top. Makes a double layer.
Oh, is that the way you do it?
Yeah.
Oh, I see, Pat Bova. And this is in, want to tell the folks the colors?
Well, it's in a deep purple and white
And green.
and green leaves. Yeah. Just a few colors, not to overdo it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, 2 or 3 colors.
Now, it's taken you, this was a bear cake when you came
Yeah,
in about 10
right,
minutes ago.
right.
And you've
Yeah.
done all that since then.
About 5 minutes, yeah. Like you said, 5 or 6 minutes. It's it.
And now, what's that noise?
Something splattered. There's air in here.
There's air in the bag.
Now what
Air
do
in
you-
the bag.
It's in the bag.
Well, it's just about done then, isn't it?
This is just about finished. I'm going to put the bottom border in
Oh,
here
I
and
see.
do a few
Want to
finishing
do a
touches.
couple of strokes for us, and Terry will explain to the folks what you're doing. Yeah, is it hard for you to do it that way?
Doing a shell
Just a
border.
shell border, yeah.
My suggestion was for her to outline the stem of the umbrella and a handle in purple so it would show up.
Oh,
There
I
is no
see.
contrast of color between the covering and the stem of the umbrella, which
And
really
how do you
need
do
this.
that, Terry? That foil, you use foil for the outline?
oh yes, the foil. I myself I prefer the gold foil because it's not.
Well, you're-
It doesn't photograph as well. The silver foil seems to
You can see that,
black out some of the pictures.
that Terry has very expensive taste. She has to have gold foil.
Gold foil. But we have
Look at her go to town there. And what tip is she using?
Oh, it's a 19. 19.
which is just smaller than what we're doing on this cake.
Now, Peg and Pat and Celia are cake 3 people. They've had the cake 3 course, or are they in the process of cake 3
No,
course?
they've had their three.
Now,
Sessions.
we're going to over and talk to Rhoda DeLon, and is she cake 2?
She has had 2 sessions of cake decorating.
I see. Rhoda, can you stand up so the folks at home can see you? All right, there she is, right? It's her little cake. It's a pussy cat for Halloween.
We need green eyes.
Isn't that charming? Now, when Rhoda started, about 5 minutes ago, wasn't it, Rhoda? Yeah? You didn't have any pussy cat on there at all. And you're using a what tip, hon?
That was a 32.
Would you explain to the folks, is it a layer cake?
It's a double layer of chocolate cake
It is? Oh, boy. With a white icing.
with white icing with butter flavoring in it.
Oh, my.
And
Then the little, what do you call the trim here? Orange, that's
rope.
a rope. And
then
what's on the bottom?
The bottom is the plain shell.
Excuse me. The interesting is that all 3 girls actually are using the same tip, but each and every one of them has done something else with it. The star tip, here's a rope, the plain shell border. Then we have
That is
the
interesting.
circle,
Yeah.
and we also have the zigzag, which Peggy is using. It's still the same tip.
Oh, sure.
The different
All the same
types.
tip. Peggy's pretty good at zigzagging, is she? Peggy Bugatti.
Yeah, oh boy. right for our money.
Peggy says, ask the girls because she drove them over here. Look at the cunning little green eyes, folks. That looks like my Percy cat. I have a black kitty cat with green eyes. Yeah. Now what are you going to do, Rhoda?
Then we have sugar molds. Thin sugar molds around the side with
Oh,
and
with
then
the
we'll
pumpkin.
put leaves around there too.
Oh,
to
sure.
decorate up. We make
Boy,
the
that's
sugar molds.
You make those, Rhoda?
Yes, we have that little form. And we put the sugar in them and
Sugar and water.
I think
tip
you have a
them
nice
out.
form, yeah.
and leave them lay and dry.
Oh, I
And
see.
then you can use them on cakes.
Takes how long to dry those?
Oh, about 2 hours.
Really?
Well, you can speed up the process by placing them in the oven.
Terry knows all the shortcuts here.
But only for a short time.
Oh. And Rhoda DeLong, are you going to cake decorating class one night each week? Is that the way you do it?
I'm starting Thursday for the 3rd.
For cake 3?
Cake 3.
Right.
I signed up for it. It starts this 3rd.
I'm so glad you told me about these girls. Now, what else are you going to do, your pussy cat?
Well, later with another color, I hope to put a little nose and a mouth on it.
With another color?
And I'm going to put black
There's whiskers.
whiskers out there too. He's got to have his whiskers.
How can you get a thin line whisker? So
Or
thin.
use a tip like this.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, if we had some toothpicks, that would have been better. That, cover it in frosting instead of stand out.
Oh, really?
I love this type, so third-dimensional
Well, see,
type.
this,
Yeah, right.
I'm learning more right now.
And you're not even paying for it, are you, Rhoda?
You know.
And what's more, you can use the toothpicks afterwards to pick your teeth, right? Well, this is just lovely. I wish you could see it in color, folks. Black and orange and white. Well, thank you, Rhoda DeLong. Terry Bugatti, who just left. Peggy, it's lovely, dear. Thank you. Excuse me, Seal. It's just lovely. Could we, yeah. Isn't that handsome? Isn't that handsome? These are lovely red roses.
Those are rice flowers now, wafer flowers.
Tell us how you make those, Pat.
I buy them.
Oh, you buy them?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And-
The other ones I make though, these here.
Oh,
the
those are
royal
your own
icing I
roses.
make.
You made those royal icing.
Right. To make these here wafers, you'd have to use a certain amount of steam, and then it's
I
really
noticed,
a lot of work.
Peggy, it's quite interesting that you chose the number 4 roses. Is that of any significance?
Oh, you know that, huh?
Yeah, I know that, kid.
I know that.
And the green is what? That's a different kind of icing. What is that?
That's gel. That's writing gel.
Oh, writing gel.
Yes, and
I
you
see.
color it yourself, and
Then you put on silver beads.
yes,
Right?
silver shots. Yeah.
Now, would you call that cake complete?
I think so, except that you'd put happy birthday or whatever.
Oh, I
you know.
see, yeah.
I'll put their name up here, maybe happy birthday.
You're not
On
going
the
to put
plate.
my name on this one?
No.
No, okay.
Sorry.
But she did
I'm gonna
last
take it home and eat it myself.
She did last time, folks. She put my name on a lovely one. Doll
Sure.
cake. Now, Hukowski and Terry's going to show you a couple of other cakes. that she has designed. This is the little...
This is a sort of a small basic spray, which is sort of a beginner's type thing we do in our first 10 sessions. We learn how to do our borders and flowers the first 5 sessions, and then we apply what we've learned onto the cakes. We decorate 5 cakes.
And this would be another example of one of
This
those?
would be another example of
Yeah, that's very good right there, yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Right. Now this is called Cornelia, little lace.
Oh,
And
yes.
it's a simple type design, and yet it looks elegant. And it's easy to master for a student who's just, second session.
That's easy to master,
It is.
folks.
And it has a spray of roses and tiny roses around. It's a simple enough where, and also could be a decorative enough. You could vary the decorations on top and on borders.
Terry Witakowski, you said in cake 1 they do 5 cakes?
Yes.
And in cake 2 they do how many cakes?
Also 5. Each session has 5 cakes.
And then you were going to tell us about the little rose, hon?
This is a marzipan rose,
Hold it quite
which is
still.
hand molded. It's rolled and cut into little circles, and it's hand molded. And petal by petal is shaped by hand.
Oh, yes. You hold your hand there and put up the shoe right there, and that'll make it.
All
Oh, I see.
Here we have the stem. And perhaps we'll leave this in the front so we can see this better. This is our little booty, which is
Fun and little thing.
suitable for baby cake, shower cakes,
And you
It's
make
very
this out of
popular.
royal icing?
This is made of royal icing, yes. Royal icing consists of meringue powder, confectionery sugar, and cream of tartar, or egg whites.
Right.
And
This is probably one case, literally, folks, where you can put your foot in your mouth.
now this is another method which is called gum paste.
Oh, yeah.
And this is sort of it's like dough, which is rolled out, and it's placed in a container. Then the edge is cut, and we let it dry overnight, and then we decorate it the following day.
It's a Wedgwood blue, and it really looks like a true Wedgwood dish.
It's quite hard, and it hardens. It's also edible. All the things we make are edible.
Are they really?
Yes. Now we have a cake there.
I don't know, folks. It's pretty depressing. We can't get a good picture on this Sony. I don't know whether it's Sony videotape or whether it's the Sony player. And that Sony videotape is better than that. But you can't get Sony to fix these machines. I don't think I'll ever buy anything Sony again. So, if you have tapes that go back, I would exercise them every year, at least twice a year maybe. Because this is the deterioration that you get. These tapes that you've seen here, with all the breakup, go back to 1972. So what's that, 18 years?
And here's somebody who came all the way from New York City to talk to you today. This is Karen Messer, and she's with Vegetarian Activist Collective. How was the trip down, Karen?
Oh, just fine. It's good to be up where I can breathe some clean air.
Where do you live in New York?
I live in Manhattan.
Right in the city.
Yes, I do.
Right. And as I say, it's very much on Karen's mind to talk to you about this Vegetarian Activist Collective. Karen, are there many vegetarians?
Yes, there are. There are 8 to 10 million vegetarians in the United States.
Are there really?
Yes, the word is really spreading. People are really becoming aware that vegetarianism is inevitable, economically and ecologically, because we're devastating our land.
In what way, Karen?
The slaughterhouses and the meatpacking companies in this are dumping their waste into our rivers and our lakes, and this water is being wasted. It should be used for energy and for us for drinking. It takes 25 pounds of grain to produce 1 pound of meat, 1 pound of beef, and this is a 1 to 25 ratio. We should be eating this natural protein directly, the grains.
What are some of the reasons that people become vegetarians?
I became a vegetarian for ethical reasons, because I cannot condone the slaughter of animals. However, once people get into vegetarianism, they realize all the health and nutritional reasons for being a vegetarian, such as the enormous poisons in meat, such as DDT and DES and arsenic and sodium sulfite and sodium nitrate and sodium nitrite. To give a few examples, we are not anatomically carnivores.
Is that right?
Yes, we're primates, and we should be eating the primate diet. For example, we don't have the fangs of a natural carnivore. You cannot go and jump on the prey and stick your teeth into it and eat it, which is what a natural carnivore is. Our intestines are 12 times the length of our bodies, and a natural carnivore's intestines are 3 times the length of our bodies, so that when we eat flesh, it putrefies in our bodies. See? And it works our lungs and our kidneys 5 times as hard as it should be. So.
Oh, then you think it's not a question of being as healthy being a vegetarian, but you think maybe it's healthier to be a vegetarian?
Flesh eating has been proven to be terribly detrimental to human beings' health. The 3 countries in the world, Canada, Australia, and the United States, are the biggest meat-eating countries, and they're also the countries who have the highest rate of heart disease.
Oh?
Yes.
Do you know some cats and dogs who are vegetarians?
I sure do. I know many cats who are vegetarians. They're big, gorgeous, healthy animals.
Are they really?
Yes, and I know a dog too who's a little vegetarian. Yeah, he runs around, terrific energy.
And they get along fine?
Oh, they sure do. Yeah.
You have some literature there, Karen Messer, from the Vegetarian Activists Collective. Could you tell the folks how they could get a hold of that if anybody is listening who might like to explore this?
I sure can, yeah. Our address is the Vegetarian Activists, 308 East 89th Street, New York City, 10028. And if anyone would like free recipes, they could just send a self-addressed envelope to us, and we'll send it off to them. We have a vegetarian kit, which is a complete set of our literature with a bumper sticker, and that's for a dollar donation. And yes, this button.
This button right here. Can you see that, folks? Yeah. What's it say?
It says, "Love animals, don't eat them."
And it says Vegetarian Activist Collective.
Right. Use the address 308 East 89th Street.
Okay. If you're interested in writing to Karen, we'll say that address later on to give you an opportunity to get a pencil and a paper to write it down with. Now, Karen, now see what other things can you tell us about this movement?
Well, I'd like the different vegetarian diets. For example, I'm on the vegan diet, which means I don't eat any dairy products or eggs, and I don't use any animal products such as leather, fur, feathers, silk, or wool. I don't live from the backs of murdered beings at all. I'm completely animal-free in my lifestyle. And of course, the first step is getting off the meat eating, and when you still eat dairy products and eggs, that's called ovo-vegetarian. And there are people who believe plants have feelings, and these people are fruitarians. They only eat what comes off the trees, and they don't cut any plants. So there are different degrees, but the basic thing is to get off the flesh eating.
And what do was it vegans you call them?
Vegans, yeah.
Vegans. And what do they eat if they don't eat all these other things?
We eat nuts and seeds and grains and vegetables and fruits. The natural primate diet, because human beings are primates.
I see. And they find that satisfying? And
Sure do, sure do. It's terrific for energy. I've never really been so strong, you know.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You started this do you know when you started this?
Yeah, I became vegetarian when I was about 14.
You've even noticed an improvement over that?
Yeah. When I first stopped eating meat, I noticed a lightness in my stomach. I didn't have this heavy feeling, you know. And then when I became vegan, I got so strong, you know.
Vegan again is what?
Vegan means no dairy products or eggs either. No animal products at all, you know.
And you became so strong, you say?
Yeah, really. I've never been able to go the way I've been going now. You know, it's terrific.
Is that right?
Yeah, for someone who lives in New York City, you know, to have this, being able to keep up, it's pretty good.
Karen, what do you eat, and the seeds, how do you fix them, and what recipe do you have? Do you have like dinners the way other people do?
Well, sure do. You know, people think there isn't much to eat on a vegetarian diet, but they don't realize there are only about 6 different varieties of meat, and there are 30 different varieties of vegetables and 25 different varieties of fruits, plus all the different nuts and seeds. And you can do things like you make nut milks, you use your blender, and you can come up with some fantastic combinations. You know?
That sounds like it tastes good.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrific. And if people would like recipes for that, they can write to us.
This is Karen Messer, who came from New York City today to talk to you about vegetarianism, and she'll be right back with you in just a second. Karen, there was something that you were going to speak to us about.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about how the American people consume twice as much protein as they need. This is wasting protein in a world where people just don't have it. They're wasting excess protein. We're on a 45% fat diet, the American people, when it should be, at the most, a 30% fat diet, and this is due to meat eating.
Do the animals eat most of the grain that's made in the United States? I mean, that's grown in the United States?
Yeah, 78% of all the grain grown in the United States goes to feed livestock, and we should be eating this natural protein directly. Meat is a second-class protein. We feed the animals and then we eat the animals. You know, we should be eating this directly.
How could we eat grain, though? It doesn't sound like we could go out in the field and eat grain. How do you do that now?
Well, people eat bread.
Yeah, that's right. That's a grain, isn't it? Flour.
Sure do. And you can make all kinds of casseroles and...
Do you have good, delicious recipes?
I sure do. Wow.
I heard you were going to have a Thanksgiving, a vegetarian Thanksgiving dinner.
Right. Several groups in New York City are getting together, and we're going to have a big vegetarian Thanksgiving dinner. We had one last year. We had about 50 people, and we all stuffed ourselves. And this year we're going to have a couple hundred people all together.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It was really delicious. Huh?
Yeah.
You do have delicious foods?
We certainly do. It's an enormous variety, you know. There's so many things you can make, so many different combinations. You just use your imagination, be really creative, and you come up with some wild stuff.
Karen, why, if you say that eating, a vegetarian diet, you say that's the natural way for people to eat, but why for so many years have people been eating the other way?
Well, it's due mostly to commercial conditioning. We hear all the time how we have to eat meat, we need meat, which of course isn't true, you know. And a child is first given meat to eat, the child naturally rejects it until it becomes a habit of meat eating. It's actually an addiction.
How did the old habit get started?
Well, meat eating has been built up as an industry in this country. It's an exploitation of animals, and it's been built up as an industry, and it has byproducts. In other words, other industries are dependent upon it, such as leather and the dairy products and different waste products gotten from the slaughterhouse. You know, so it's an industry.
Now, Karen, was there something else that you wanted to talk over with us on your trip here to Connecticut from New York City? Is that a wild place? Is that as wild as I hear it is?
What, New York?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, Karen,
sure is.
It's true. I guess it must be true, folks, because remember when we had Stephen Miller here? And he said that it was. Does everybody who lives in New York City feel that way?
I guess so, otherwise they couldn't take to live there. And it's really a crazy, out-of-sight place. If you can take it, it could be a lot of fun.
Vegetarianism, folks, seems to be catching on. You do run into an increased number of people who are vegetarians. Is this so?
Yes, I'm amazed. You know, I'm compared to a couple of years ago, I'm finding all these vegetarians all over the place, and it's so great. You know, it's just wonderful to see people realizing that they don't have to eat meat, and that physically, ecologically, ethically, and economically, they don't have to put up with the high cost of dead flesh. You know.
And there are collectivists popping up all over the country?
Yeah, I find that we're making contact with groups all over the world. our collective is the Vegetarian Activist Collective of New York City, and we're interested in spreading the word. However, the VAC feels we can only serve New York City. However, we'd like to see collectives, we'd like to see vegetarians getting together and forming collectives all over the place.
So I guess that if this interests anybody, Karen will give you the address again now.
Yes, our address is Vegetarian Activists, 308 East 89th Street, New York City, 10028. We'd like to hear from anyone who wants free recipes, who'd like to buy our kit for $1 donation, and we'd like to hear from other vegetarians. And the address is Vegetarian Activists, 308 East 89th Street, New York City, 10028.
308 East 89th. Vegetarian
Activist Collective.
Now, there was something else I think you had in mind to talk to us about?
Well, meat is a second-class protein, and it's just that protein obtained from nuts and grains are a direct source of protein, which people have to realize, and it doesn't cost me more than $10 a week to eat.
Is that right?
Yeah.
In New York City?
In New York City, yeah. And I can buy expensive nuts and things from the health food stores. Because if you're not buying the meat and the eggs and the cheese, if you're not buying any animal products, then you can really get all these wild things.
Give me a nice recipe.
Oh, well,
You're really kind of making me hungry.
Well, I think nut milk is a really easy thing to make, and a lot of people, and especially children, would really like it. It has twice as much protein as meat.
Really?
It sure does.
And you get a blender.
Yeah, you have blender, and you take cashews, and you take filberts, and you put them in with a little water. You could put some bananas in, or raisins in, or maybe dates to sweeten it a little.
Hey, that
You
does
blend
sound
it,
good.
blend it, and you've got more protein than you'd get from eating meat, twice as much.
Well, now, nut milk, what would you do? Would you eat drink a glass of that at a meal, or?
Sure, that's more than enough than you need for an entire day. And you get it from grains, you get it from nuts, you get it from certain vegetables. You know, there's so many things.
What do you sit down and eat with your nut milk?
Oh, I don't know.
Bread or?
Sure, maybe some wild kind of mixture of bread, all kinds of things. We just, eggplant, I really love eggplant.
You eat 3 times a day, or Karen?
Not necessarily, no, just whenever I feel my body needs it, you know.
On this job here at Valley Cablevision, folks, I'm lucky if I eat 3 times a week. But you know, while we're on that, let me tell you that you people over the valley, I think you must realize that, because wherever I go, you're so nice to me. You're always feeding me, and I really do appreciate it. You're really kind and hospitable. So let me express my gratitude right now to all of you. Karen, some other recipes you could give me?
Well, I'd like to recommend a couple of books of recipes if people are interested. I think they could get the books and really have a great time. One is the 10 Talents Cookbook by the Seventh-day Adventists. They put it out. Another is called The Vegan Kitchen, V-A-G-A-N, The Vegan Kitchen. That's put out by the Vegan Society in Malaga, New Jersey.
And again, that's what? Stands for what?
Veganism is abstinence from all animal products, no dairy products or eggs.
Are there a lot of people who do that?
Yeah, there are an increasing amount of people who are becoming vegan just when they realize that this society is based on the exploitation of animals, and they just don't want any part of it.
Is this true of people outside the United States, too?
Yes, in fact, in England they have a big vegetarian movement. 20% of their population are vegetarians.
It is?
Yeah, they've got restaurants all over. They've got a lot of social activity going on, and newspapers and magazines. They're really doing well over there. I wish the Americans would catch up.
How did it get so large over there, other than the fact that they drink tea all the time? Does that have anything to do with it?
I don't think so, but they seem to have caught on with it. You know, they don't raise livestock too much in that country, and they have to import meat, and they just realize that they don't need it.
I see.
They don't have to eat it, you know.
In India, are there a lot of vegetarians in India?
Yeah, in fact, 2/3 of the world exists without meat.
Is that right?
Yeah, sure do, and they don't find any problem. India, yeah, there's a lot of vegetarians, and it's partly religious and partly ethical. Yeah, they feel they don't want to kill a cow for religious reasons. A lot of people get into vegetarians for a lot of different reasons. For religious reasons, as the Seventh-day Adventists do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and for personal health reasons, and for the ethical reasons, as I'm vegetarian. For nutritional reasons, because all you get from meat is second-class protein and B12. You know, you don't get it. All the vitamins and minerals and protein that we need comes from the vegetable kingdom.
See, folks, that's B12, but you just remember it, 10B. That's our channel, Karen. You don't know about that's our cable channel that we do our local programming on, 10B.
Yeah.
I had a question I was going to ask you. You know about the most famous vegetarian who comes to my mind is George Bernard Shaw. He lived to be a ripe old age, I think 93.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Do vegetarians live pretty long?
Yes, in fact, there are 4 British life insurance companies who give discounts to people who can prove they've been vegetarians for 5 years.
No kidding. Say that again and make sure I heard it.
I said there are British insurance companies who give discounts to vegetarians who can prove they've been vegetarians for 5 years or more.
Is that right?
They sure do, yeah.
4 British insurance companies give discounts to people who can prove that they've been a vegetarian for 5 years or more. I'm really I could sit down. Did you bring me a vegetarian lunch there? You know, I'm so hungry right now, I could eat anything, even my own cooking. Did you bring me anything?
But animals.
Did you bring me a vegetarian lunch?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't.
You say there are vegetarian restaurants, though, in New York?
Yeah, there are 5 or 6 really good vegetarian restaurants in New York, such as The Beautiful Way down in the Village and The Cauldron. You know, that's completely, they're both free of dairy products and eggs.
Is that right?
Yeah, they come up with some wild stuff, puddings and all kinds of things like that, without the addition of any animal products.
That's what I was going to ask you, Karen. Can you have cakes without animal products?
Yes, because eggs are just used as a filler, and they're not necessary. And of course, you know, you just you make a cake or a bread or any other thing like that, and you don't use the addition of eggs. You've got you don't need it. It's a filler, you know.
What do you fill it with?
Breads, we just make very solid bread, you know. You don't have anything in it to make it soft, or no conditioners.
That sounds like my biscuits. They're they're very hard.
Pretty solid, huh?
Pretty solid, yeah.
You know, you mentioned George Bernard Shaw before, and there's a quote from him that I really like, and the quote says, "While we ourselves are the living graves of murdered animals, how can we expect ideal conditions on the earth?"
What was that again?
The quote is from George Bernard Shaw, and it says, "While we ourselves are the living graves of murdered animals, how can we expect ideal conditions on the earth?" There are many people throughout history who are vegetarian.